Well, I got the cases clean, and you know, a lot of tools of choice were taps, drills, the pick. You know, you can take the pick on the inside of the case. None of this is, you know, it's not perfect yet, but it's getting really close. You want to get all of this stuff out of here. And razor blades. But the most important thing I got to say, especially with this thing, look at this right here. This is trenched for a 4mm stroke. See that? That's my seal. That is so thin. This has got to be perfect. This motor had no air leaks when I took it apart because I lapped the cases. I'm going to show you how to lap a set of cases. I'm not going to do a lot. There's no distortion in these cases, but that's going to help to get rid of any of the last residual 1104 case bond that I got in here, and then we're going to clean them again. So we're going to go ahead and lap the cases next. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, I'm going to lap this case. What I got here is I got a 3-inch granite stone, and I'm going to take a little WD-40. I'm just going to spray it on the stone, and that's just to get my paper to stick. You got to kind of make a suction on it, and it doesn't work very well initially, but as you work it around a little bit, it gets better. But the stone's nice and flat. I'm going to spray a little bit more WD-40 all over the paper. I'm going to take my case, and I'm going to start working. Initially, I got to hold the paper a little bit. This is 400 grit wet dry sandpaper. Now, it's going to roll a little bit, but that's taking most of the, you know, whatever's left on the 1104 case bond that took it off. But it's all gone right now. So I'm just going to kind of work it. Try and do a figure eight. These cases were already lapped, so I know they're pretty straight, but I'm just going to kind of work this around. Now, if you got a set of virgin cases, you're going to have to work a little bit harder. They say 80% of it comes out in the first 20% of work, and the last 20% of it comes out in the last 80% of work. You got to be careful you don't make these too thin, but I can tell right now this thing's dead flat. I'm going to pull this off. We'll wipe it off and we'll take a look at it. Okay, I got these cases done. Got to apologize for the camera. You probably can't see it, but what I'm looking at is I'm looking at a really good crosshatch pattern here, and I'm looking at the entire case and making sure, especially in this section right here at the crankcase, I'm making sure there's no voids, that everything is the same color, and that's telling me that these cases are flat and they're going to seal together really, really well. Especially in something like this. I mean, I don't have a lot of material because of the 4mm stroker. I don't have a lot of material to seal on, so it's absolutely imperative that these things are flat, but that's a good case lap job. We're going to go ahead and do the next case. The next step is to pull the crank seals out. I use this. This is a seal puller. You can get yourself into a lot of trouble with one of these things. You got to be very, very, very careful. What I mean by that is when you put this in, you can actually stuff it in so far that when you pull the seal out, this tool will come along and it'll gouge the cases. You got to be very, very careful. These things cost like $11. A set of cases is really expensive, so you just kind of drop this in a little bit. Just get it in on the leading edge and just pull back. There we go. Comes right out. There we go, 2 seals out, no problems. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the main bearings out. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, the next step, we're going to take the crank bearings out. The way I like to do these, I do it on my press. If you're lucky enough to have a press, I got to tell you, what you want to do is you want to support it right underneath the bearing. You don't want to start doing this on the outside of the case and pressing on the bearing. That's going to distort your cases, so you want to put your blocks right underneath the bearing. I got a press, I can do it like that, but I understand most of you guys don't have a press, so I'm going to show you an alternative method of doing this. What I got here is I got a cylinder of MAP gas, burns a lot hotter than propane, so I'm going to light this off, and what we're doing here, I'm just going to heat up the surface where the bearing goes in. And coefficient of thermal expansion is involved here. And what that means is aluminum expands at twice the rate of steel. So if I do this right, I'm just going to heat this up, and I'm going to swell this aluminum because I don't want to stress these cases out. I got all my plugs out. I'm on a nice flat surface. Don't do this with your alignment pins to your cases in. And I'm just going to heat this up a little bit. Nothing fancy. And I'm going to take a drift, drop that in there, and hammer. I'm just going to knock that bearing right out. That's the way to do it if you don't have a press. I'll show you how to do it with a press next. Okay, this is the second way if you got a press. I'm going to turn this on. I'm using the same drift, and like I said, you want to make sure this thing is flat and it's supported right underneath the bearing. And align this up. Come on down. Pop that bearing right out. That's it. Okay, we got our seals, we got our bearings out. Next thing I'm going to do is, there's going to be some residue in here from the seal. You really want to get rid of this. The way that I do it, I use 400 grit sandpaper, wet dry sandpaper, and I'm not removing any material really. I'm just getting rid of any crap that's in this surface. So I'm just going to wipe this and watch it really close. And make sure that I'm not digging in too far, and just wipe it out until you get anything high, any high points. You want this to be really smooth so you can get a nice crank seal surface, and that's all I'm doing here. And do that with both cases. Okay, I got these cases prepped pretty much the way I want them. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear anything out of these bearings. I'm not going to replace these bearings. They're turning pretty good. But I am going to clean them out, and then I'm going to clean the cases again. I'm going to throw them back in the dishwasher. The way I do this, I use brake cleaner. Nothing special. You can get anything you want. And just kind of roll them around. Spray some fluid in there. Work it around. That's going to take all of the crap out of it. And I'll do that to both cases, and then back in the dishwasher they go. Alright, we got our seals out, we cleaned everything up, I cleaned the main bearing surfaces up. What we're going to do is we're going to put the main bearings in. This is a Moose Racing, all balls. They're coil bearings. These are great bearings. I use these all the time. So what we're going to do is we're going to sweat the bearing in. These have not been in a freezer or anything like that. I've seen a lot of stuff about guys putting bearings in freezers. You don't have to do that. I got my cylinder MAP gas, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire it off, and I'm going to heat it about 40 times around. Just go in a circle 40 times, and what that's going to do is it's going to swell the aluminum, and that bearing is going to drop right in. I'm not going to bore you for 40 times me doing circles, but let's see how this goes. Grab the bearing. Just drop it right in there. Push it. Hold on the inner race. What happens is these cases, as these cases cool, they're going to want to push that bearing back up. So you just kind of, you hold on the inner race. Keep your fingers on it. Let everything cool down a little bit. Maybe 30 seconds, a minute. Just hold it down there, and that's going to keep your bearing set where it's supposed to be. This thing's not moving anywhere.